So speaking of white supremacists, Kash Patel giving his little Valhalla shout out at the end of his little speech in Utah, CNN is giving absolute cover for the allies of Charlie Kirk. Charlie Kirk, the tragically assassinated, racist, Christian nationalist bigot. His pal, Jack Posobiec, was featured on CNN. And this is what is alarming. I'm going to tell you about Jack Posobiec if you don't know who he is. I'm going to put a link in the description below of Southern Poverty Law Center. And there, it is insane. We'll get to it. I was going to show it now, but we'll get to it. CNN interviewed this guy. Gave no context at any point during the interview. They didn't do a precursor, pre-statement about who he is, what he's been involved in, what his views are, what his quotes are, what his past is, how dangerous none of that. You would think if you didn't know anything about the lay of the land in conservative America, that he was just a loving, loyal friend who also finds himself among Republicans. You wouldn't know his background. This is Aaron Burnett's tweet on the matter before I get to the video. Actually, I'm not going to play the video first. I'm going to read a little bit, some quotes from him to give you a flavor for who he is, just to let you know while you're watching the CNN clip how egregious it is that they didn't tell their viewers who he was. But this is a tweet from Aaron Burnett before we get to all of that. Quote, "My friend's in a box right now, and it wasn't an accident." Jack Posobiec talks to CNN about who could lead the movement Charlie Kirk helped to build and how Republicans should respond to Kirk's death. Mina Durison reports. Yeah. Before I do, first of all, this is from the Southern Poverty Law Center that has a repository, a reference repository of all kinds of wild, exceedingly dangerous extremists, including Jack Posobiec. This is just down the side of the article where you can click to go to the different elements that they report on. This is a long article that is linked below for you to read. I would suggest you familiarize with this guy, but this is it. In his own words, and that's what I'm going to read from here, some of his quotes. Some, not even all. His background. Russian intelligence-backed operation about Seth Rich. Russian intelligence-backed operation, hashtag Macron leaks. Russian intelligence-backed operation, South Front. Ties to white nationalist 1. Ties to white nationalist 2. White nationalist 3. Ties to white nationalist 4. Ties to the neo-Nazi Clark brothers. Introducing esoteric hate materials to Twitter. Ties to the Proud Boys and Oath Keepers. Ties to the Polish far right. His Bumble ban. Targeting of women and male supremacy. He's one of the worst of the worst. He's a disinformation artist, formerly served in the United States Navy, apparently as an intelligence officer. But he is a neo-Nazi, is what he is. And CNN didn't see fit to tell their audience who they were platforming, who they were giving time to, who they were offering the United States sympathies to. Here are some quotes from Jack Posobiec. January 6th will be something that no one's seen before. I think it's going to be absolutely historic and really codify America's history, not only for this time, but for years to come. He said this to the Epoch Times the night of January 5th, 2021, during the Stop the Steal event that preluded the attack on the United States Capitol. This was before January 6th, and then after January 6th, he started to try to act like it was an Antifa operation because he's a different disinformation artist. He's a liar and a racist. He's also anti-democracy, obviously. Stop the Steal 2020 is coming. He said this on Twitter, September 7th, 2020, a full 2 months before news outlets declared Joe Biden the winner of the 2020 presidential election. Here's another. It's all fun and games until the rooftops start speaking Philly. This was on Twitter on June 2nd, 2020, referring to a group of armed white vigilantes who positioned themselves on rooftops in response to anti-racist demonstrations and rioting in Philadelphia. Interesting that Jack Posobiec, who's now crying crocodile tears, was celebrating rooftop gunmen, but now that his friend, his pal, his compatriot in bigotry and white supremacy and Christian nationalism, Charlie Kirk. Now that he is the victim of a rooftop gunman, he's singing a little different tune. Quote, the Anti-Defamation League would be wiser to remember what happened the last time people made lists of undesirables. He said this on Twitter, referring to a Jewish non-governmental organization alongside a selfie taken at Auschwitz. You didn't think to include that, CNN? Not important, CNN. Quote, why shouldn't white people also be allowed to speak at a racial seminar? He said this on Twitter on June 26, 2017, referring to white nationalist group Identity Europa, disruption of a speaking engagement by black civil rights activists. And then, of course, you might not know, he was a promulgator, a supporter, a promoter of the Pizzagate conspiracy. I've talked about this before. Quote, hashtag Pizzagate may be bigger than we suspected. He said this less than 2 weeks before a gunman opened fire in Comet Ping Pong Pizzeria, going to free the children from the basement of the pizzeria that does not have a basement. Didn't think that was important to maybe include Aaron Burnett and CNN. And then finally, before I get to the clip, surrounded by them, he wrote with the radiating parentheses, which is a meme about who Jews are. If you see that around people's names, it means they are Jewish, to name them, to out them or whatever, to target them for harassment of neo-Nazis. So surrounded by them at Peter Thiel press conference, signaling out Jewish journalists with an anti-Semitic meme. So none of this context was given by CNN, the journalistic outlet, the straight news organization that's here to answer questions, to get answers to questions, to provide context, to do journalism. And they failed in this moment. This is a 3-minute segment of the clip. If you've already watched it, you can watch the time and scrub through, or you can just scrub through if you don't want to listen to his stupid face and voice. Watch this.
Mina Dursun is out front.
I think the worst possible way to remember Charlie would be to turn these lights off. That this is his life's work.
Charlie Kirk's podcast continued on Friday without him.
All right, well, welcome back to the Charlie Kirk Show. We're remembering our friend Charlie Kirk.
His friend and Turning Point contributor Jack Posobiec sat in his studio, leaving Kirk's chair open as a tribute.
How do you fill this void?
Well, like, everybody's got to step up, and there's no replacement for Charlie Kirk.
Posobiec is a leading voice in right-wing media, where some of his peers were quick to call Kirk's assassination an act of war.
Charlie Kirk's a casualty of war.
Do you think we're at war?
My friend's in a box right now, and it wasn't an accident.
Are we facing a civil war?
Well, there's no question that we're clearly facing asymmetric civil warfare. One of the key aspects of that is political assassinations. That being said, the idea that we're going to a, classic civil war scenario, I hope and I pray that doesn't happen.
Outside headquarters for the past few days, a steady stream of fans have come to pay their respects.
This was a really heartless act, and I feel so sad, and I feel like when we're trying to be silenced, we need to come together as a whole and be a family.
Do you feel any responsibility to help bring the temperature down in this political discourse?
I want people to be safe, but if you're someone who is part of a group that is fanning the flames of violence, that is encouraging this or celebrating this, then that's absolutely something that we have to tamp down 100%.
The governor this morning was describing the suspect having this family dinner. This is what the governor said. The family member also stated Kirk was full of hate and spreading hate.
I mean, it's from that person's perspective, Charlie Kirk represented everything they hated. He loved debate. He loved just talking things out. It's what he lived for. It's what he died doing. And this idea that Charlie is there, the one spreading this. No, he's got it completely backwards.
Now Turning Point and the conservative right have to figure out where their movement goes from here.
I think we're at an inflection point right now. Just because you see an influencer online, just because you get mad at something they said in a 10-second clip, that doesn't mean that you have to go and pick up a rifle and shoot them. That instead, as a country, that should mean, come up with a better argument.
It should mean come up with a better argument. He feigns sadness and seriousness and solemnity in this moment. I just outlined who this person is. CNN didn't feel it important to provide the very necessary context. Not a legitimate character. He's a vile white nationalist, a racist, a neo-Nazi, a hater of humanity, unless, of course, you're white, straight, conservative. Unless, of course, you're MAGA. Unless, of course, you're sufficiently loyal to fascist ideologies. Right. Failure on the part of our media, missing the moment in the most dangerous, precarious moment in history inside of 150 years. They are dropping the ball, leading us to slaughter, maybe literally. What do you think? I invite you to this conversation. We can have it below in the comments wherever you're watching this video. You can also call the voicemail line 714-576-4054. And of course, as always, you can email me daily@dollemore.com. Please consider helping support this work. You can do so on Facebook, on the Dollemore Daily Facebook page, which I would please ask you to go follow. You can also do so on YouTube, become a channel member, click the join button below the video, or just on my channel, or the better way to do it is go to patreon.com/IDoubtItPodcast. And for as little as $2 a month, help me produce this content and reach the millions, sometimes tens of millions of people that I do every month. I love and appreciate you very much. I'll see you next time. Be genuine. Take care of one another.